हेलो गाइस, वेलकम बैक टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल। तो आज के इस वीडियो में हम सीखने वाले हैं हाउ टू डिफाइन फंक्शन इन पाइथन। तो अगर आप मेरे चैनल पर नए हो देन सब्सक्राइब टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल एंड फॉलो अलोंग विथ मी। फंक्शन डिफाइन करने के लिए वी यूज डेफ कीवर्ड एंड आफ्टर दैट वी गिव द फंक्शन नेम। सो लाइक आई एम गिविंग हियर फंक and here this is the function, and if we do not want to define this function right now, then we can use pass keyword here. So if I just use here something like this one, print, and if I just call this hello function, okay, without parenthesis, and if I run this code, then you can see here it returns something like function at this one. So it is saying that this function is defined and this is the memory location of this function. So to define this function, we can use function here, and there we can remove the pass keyword. So to not throw error, we just write here in Python pass keyword to pass the function. So if we have to define here something like print, and here if I just write hello function, and after that if I just call this function from print statement, then you can see here this function is printed here hello function, and it's also printed none. It's printed none because of this function is not returning anything here. So if I, instead of print statement, if I just do here return hello function, then it will not print here again none. So if I again run this code, so it is printed here hello function, which is returning from this function. So why do we use function in any language? We use function in any language. So something like if we have to print this hello function 4 or 5 times in our code, something like this one, okay, so we have to write this code 4 times to print hello function for 4 times in the console, or we have to return this one. Okay, so if I write code, then it printed 4 times and 1 time from this function. Okay, so if I again run this code, so it printed 4 times. So this is the duplicate code in any language. To avoid this one, we use function in any language. So any language should follow the try principle. That means do not repeat yourself. So if we have to just print hello function, then what we can do, we can define one function and we can call this function 4 times to print the hello function. So that is the reason all the language supports function definition. I am commenting this line of code so that you can find all my code in my GitHub repo. So some places you can see they are passing argument in the function. So to pass the argument in the function, we need to accept the argument here. If I just say message, and here I am using the formatted string f string here, and whatever message is there, I just write here, instead of function I just define curly parenthesis, and here I just placeholder and I just put message here to do the function here. So if I call this function here again like print and hello function, and it's accepting the value, so I can write here code with kg, so it will just return hello code with kg. So in this way we can pass message in the function. If you see, it's returning a string here, and on string if we have to do any operation on string, something like dot upper, then we can use here upper function of a string to make all the character in uppercase. So in this way we can use this function and this upper string function to make the all string in upper. So it's very important, so you should know what this function is returning. So if this function return something like integer 2, and after that if you use here upper, so in that case it will throw an error. So it's also saying int type does not have upper function. Okay, so if I run this code, then definitely it will throw error. So int object has no attribute upper. So it's very important to know that what function is returning, and on that you can just use anything after that. And there is something like, if you define in function some default argument, something like this one, message, and if I say hi and its default value is hi. Okay, so this default value should be come after this positional argument. So this default value you cannot define before this positional argument, something like this. If you define something like this, it will throw error at runtime. So make sure whenever you define this default argument, so it should be after the positional argument, it should be the default argument. So instead of hi, okay, I just put here this hi as well here, this hi variable, and if I just run this code, so this is my default positional argument and this is my default argument. So if I run this code, then you can see here it's printed hi, then code with kg. So instead of hi, we can also pass some value here, something like hello. So this is, if you don't pass any value to this second argument, it is treated as hi only, default value, and you can also pass some value from the call of the function. So if I run this code, then it's printed hello code with kg. So it's overriding this hi default value when we pass the value from here. So in this way we can define some default argument in the function as well. But some places you have seen it is written something like this one, a star args, okay, and after that it has written in some places a star star kwargs. Okay, so what is the meaning of this args and kwargs? So here if I just print these things here, okay, so that you can able to understand what is the meaning of this args and kwargs in the function when we pass this function here. So let me just do here one thing. Instead of print, let me just call this hello function with args and kwargs. So if I pass any list of argument here, something like hello, then code with kg, and after that if I pass some keyword argument here, something like name equal to kg and channel equal to YouTube. Okay, so if I call function something like this, so all the argument which are comma separated, which are passing, that will go to under args argument, and if we pass any keyword argument from the function, that will be go to the kwargs argument. So if I run this function, then you can see here its args is printed hello code with kg as a tuple, and this kwargs is printed name kg channel YouTube. So it's printed dictionary here. So when we pass here some random argument, so if there is a use case like आप नहीं जानते हो यहाँ पे कितने नंबर ऑफ आर्गुमेंट्स ये फंक्शन एक्सेप्ट कर सकते हैं, so in that scenario you can use here star kwargs, so it will accept all the arguments which is passing something like this. Okay, and if you don't know how many argument is there to pass in the function, so in that case you can use here star kwargs, so that all the keyword argument will be accepted by the star kwargs, and all the arguments will be accepted under the args. So that is the use case of args and kwargs when we use the function. So this is the function. So to understand this function, I have written some code here to know how to do all these things. So this is my code. So I'll explain this code here. I'll just iterate this code. This is the function. So here month is there, so 0 is just a placeholder, and after that this is a month of days. So in January 31 days is there, then in February 28, then 31, this is the month of this one days, and this is the leap year. So this is the leap year to find out whether this year is leap year or not. So this is the very frequent question that is asked in the interview for fresher. So if year is divided by 4 and year is not divided equal to year modulo 100 not equal to 0, or year modulo 400 equal to 0, then only this is going to be leap year, else it's not a leap year. So here this is a function and this is another function where it's accepting year and month. So if month is less than or equal to between 1 and 12 range, okay, if it's not between 1 and 12 range, then it's invalid month, else it will go to second if condition. If month is 2, then it will check if this is a leap year or not by passing the argument here again this year, and it will check whether it's a leap year or not, and it will return 29 days, else it will return the month days from the month. So this is my some of the call that I am calling from the print statement. Is leap year 2017 or not, is leap year 2020 or not, and days in month 2017, and I am passing the second month here. Okay, so you will ask what is the use of this string here. So these are called as a doc string. So to define the function we need to write all these things here. So ये function यहाँ पे कर क्या रहा है, so it's returning true for leap year, false for non leap years, and same way it's also defining the function like it's telling the function. So this function, what is this function is doing, return number of days in that month in that year. Okay, so if I just run this code, then you can see, so 2017 is a leap year, it's not a leap year. 2020 is a leap year, yes it is a leap year, and in 2017 for second month how many days are there, so in second month there is 28 days. So इस तरह से हम जो है फंक्शन का यूज कर सकते हैं हम अपने कोड में. सो आज के वीडियो में बस इतना ही. अगर आपके पास में कुछ भी क्यूरी है या फिर डाउट है, देन लेट मी नो इन माय कमेंट सेक्शन. आई विल ट्राई माय बेस्ट टू आंसर योर क्वेश्चन. सो डोंट वरी ऑल दिस कोड, यू विल फाइंड ऑल दिस कोड इन माय गिटहब. उसका लिंक आपको मेरे डिस्क्रिप्शन में मिल जाएगा. तब तक के लिए टाटा, बाय बाय एंड कीप कोडिंग.